Hi everyone, in this video we will see a quick demo of user-defined functions. User-defined functions are a plain JavaScript function that are type of single message transforms. Single message transforms are used to simplify the data transformation for streaming pipelines. It enables the modification of message data and attributes directly within GCP PubSub. We need not to write any external service such as Cloud Run function, Dataflow, etc. We can do it within GCP PubSub itself. SMTs can be added for simple data transformation, data masking, message filtering. We can add the SMT with the PubSub topic or with the subscription. If we add the SMT with the PubSub topic, all the messages that are coming from the publisher will be filtered out or transformed based on the SMT defined here. However, if we add it at the subscription level, then the messages will receive by the topic, it will go to the subscription queue, and then based on the logic defined within the specific subscription, the message transformation and filtering logic will be applied. Now, if we look at this demo topic here, we will add a user defined function with the topic and then we will add it with the subscriptions as well. Here, if I'm clicking on edit, we have option to add a transform. The same option we will see while creating a new topic. Within this particular window, we can define multiple JavaScript functions. One of the function will be a main function that will be called when a message will be published to a topic. The same name we will need to define over here that are called the user-defined functions. This is the signature of the user-defined function. We need to have a message and then the metadata. Message contains the data and the attributes of the input event that is being received by a topic. Within metadata, we have message ID, publish time, and the ordering key. These are the metadata information. We cannot modify this information. However, we can use this metadata information to apply our transformation logic. We can modify the message object by modifying the data and the attributes, and if we need to transform the message, we just need to update these attributes, return the new object containing data and attributes in the same form. If we want to filter out the message, here we can return null. Whenever a message will be published to the topic, this function will be called. This has couple of limitations, and if you look at this documentation, the size of the code should be within 20 KB and the execution time has to be within 500 milliseconds. That means we should not be doing any call to the external API or external system, and we can also not import any external libraries. For this particular demo, we are going to define a user-defined functions that filters out all the events that does not contain a specific country. We are expecting that the message that we will receive will have a JSON payload. String value of the data, we need to convert it into the JSON, and here we are checking if the country key is missing in the data or it does not have the value as India, it will return null, and null is the filtering of the message. Otherwise, we will return the same message. After defining the UDF, we can update the topic, and the UDF will be applied with topic. Before doing that, we can test it here. We have test transforms and we can pass the input message and then the payload. For example, here if I pass hi, this time this is not a valid JSON. Because of this JSON.parse, it will fail and the message will not be added to the topic. If we pass the correct JSON, here we have country India, we can validate it. This time the transformation is the same message because we are returning the message. This is valid against the transform. But if I pass country as US, it says message has been filtered out and there is no transform message, because as soon as the message is filtered out, it will filter this message and the message will not be published to the topic. This is how you can test your UDF, and then once you save this, the UDF will be applied with the topic. Right now, because we haven't saved it, any message that is published to the topic will behave in the same way as it was behaving earlier. Here we have only checked for the data. We can validate the attributes as well. Earlier we were parsing the data, but now we can also get the attributes of this message. Here we are checking if the attribute contain country, we are reading that value. Otherwise, we are reading value from the data. And again, the same logic, if it is not India, then we are returning null, otherwise we are returning the message. Now we will see how to modify the message. Within this particular input message, we are passing the country, and within the attribute as well, we are passing the country. With UDF, we can transform the message. From the data, we can remove the attribute country and we can keep that in the header. For that purpose, we will transform this message, deleting the value from the data. We are adding the country in the attributes and also making sure that it is uppercase. Once this data and the attributes are updated, we need to return the updated value. For that purpose, we can return here a new object that contains data and the attributes. This data, we have converted it into the JSON, but the message contains a string value. We need to convert back it to the string, and the attribute are the key value pair, so we are returning the same with the updated value. We can test the transformation here. We have country US, we have country India, and the transformed message does not contain country India. However, the attribute contains country India with the uppercase, and that is coming from the header value. So this is how we have validated our user defined function. Once this will be updated, UDF will be attached with the topic. We can send the messages from the publisher here. If country as India, publish the message. Similarly, I'll publish one more message with ID 2, country US. There are two messages that I have published. With this topic, we have multiple subscriptions. If we pull the messages here, within sub 1, we have received the message that contains country India. Same is the behavior with sub 2 and should be same for sub 3. Now, I'll change this condition slightly. And here, instead of filter countries India, now I'll modify it to US and update it. The message that we published earlier was unacknowledged, but because it is already published, so you can see that message here. These are the earlier messages. Now I'll add one more message that contains country India with ID 5, and I'll also publish one more message with country US with ID 6. And let's see the behavior of the subscriptions. Here now you can see we have got a message for country US, and the India one is skipped, that was with user ID 5, because now the UDF is updated, and based on the new condition, whatever new message we will send to the topic will be transformed or filtered out according to the new logic. However, you can still see that there are old messages which were having country India, and this is because already the messages were sent to the topic and it went to the subscription queues. Now we will see how we can add the UDF with the subscription. I'll remove this UDF from the topic. I'll just copy it and delete it from the topic. The topic is updated successfully. I'll just refresh it once, and we will send couple of other messages. Let's pass the messages for country India, user ID 7, and one more message with US with ID 8. At this time we don't have any UDF, so let's look at the behavior. We have received both the messages with country US and India, and same behavior should be there with sub 2. Now we will modify the subscription 1 and we will add the UDF here. The same way as we have added with the topic, we can add the transform with subscriptions as well. Here we have filtered countries. Within the subscription we have added, if the country is not US, then this message should be filtered out. And let's update the subscription. Here you can see the message that we published earlier are gone. Only message that contains country US is here, because whenever we are pulling the messages, UDF condition is applied on the subscription and it will pull the messages which are fulfilling the condition. When we are adding the UDF with the topic, PubSub does not store the filtered out messages. It will ignore them and the message will be lost. If we add the UDF with the subscription, PubSub auto acknowledges the messages which are filtered out. All the messages that we published earlier when we had the UDF at the topic level, the messages were there in the subscription queue and those were unacknowledged messages. However, when we added a UDF with the subscription, again when we are pulling, the UDF will be started applying, and now the messages that does not have country as US will be filtered out, and now those messages are removed from this subscription queue as well, because those are acknowledged, and the message that is there with the country US is still there within the subscription queue, and this will be delivered to the consumer. Subsequently, now if I publish any new message, let's give it a user ID 9, country India, publish it, publish one more message, user ID 10, country US. If you look at the subscription 1, here we have the message with user ID 10, country US. If you look at the sub 2, it should have all the messages because we haven't applied any user-defined function with this subscription. So you can see the behavior of user-defined function within the subscription queue. To summarize it, whenever a message is published to a PubSub topic where UDF is applied at the topic level, if it is filtering out, publisher will get a message ID, it will get a success, but the message will be lost. In case of subscription, the message will be sent to the subscription queue while the consumers are polling the messages. That message will be filtered out and PubSub will auto acknowledge that. So this is all about this particular video. Thanks for watching and happy coding.